All right, that does sound ominous. Let's go straight across to our panel of experts. Joining me on the show tonight, Ambassador Vishnu Prakash, former Indian diplomat, Sergey Utkin, head of the Strategic Assessment Section at the Primakov Institute of World Economy and International Relations at the Russian Academy of Sciences in Moscow, and Dr. Joseph M. Shalil, former advisor to the U.S. Senator John McCain. He's also an author and publisher. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me. Dr. Shalil, please correct me if I have mispronounced your name. I want to begin by asking you, what do you make of what French President Emmanuel Macron has said today? Because it sounds extremely ominous. After that 90-minute phone call with Putin, he says worse is to come in Ukraine. Putin is aiming to seize the whole of Ukraine. And Putin apparently told Macron, Russia will achieve its goals no matter what. What would you make of that statement?
It's not surprising. Again, as you know, Putin. I don't know he has a way back now or a way out now. Stopping and going back would be considered weakness on his side, and it will be devastating to his image internationally and within his country. So I believe he is now, or Russia is now in a no going back mode. Either they will have to acquire and put some sort of a puppet a government in place, but occupying Ukraine for a longer term would also be devastating. So I'm not sure they would plan for that. They have learned their lessons from Afghanistan. So I think the international community, what they need to do would be to give Russia a way out somehow, offer some sort of a ceasefire agreement, and then work with him to make it happen. Otherwise, I'm not sure he would have to go all the way and take over Ukraine. I'm not sure there's a way out at this time.
They had a very tough conversation, the French and the Russian presidents, which is understandable under these circumstances. Even as the Russian side says it clearly that there is no goal of occupation of Ukraine.
Your issue, I think President Macron knows what he's saying. He has been intimately associated with negotiations. You will remember 10 days ago, he had spent 5 hours with President Putin. President Putin has staked everything on this gambit. He has staked his reputation, the future of Russia, the prosperity of Russia. Granted, he had a grievance. I would be
the first to say that yes, NATO's eastward expansion was not on, that Russia was taken for a ride. Yes, that's true.
What do you make of these statements that are coming from the Kremlin about, this nuclear threat that is being held out, this constant talk about nuclear war, which could be destructive? Is this saber-rattling by Putin to ensure that the Western powers stay away from this war militarily? But then if Putin does go ahead and actually do what the French president thinks he's going to do, which is to capture the whole of Ukraine, then the question is the world going to just stand by and watch?
I believe that the nuclear option might be saber-rattling. I believe President Putin has discussed similar options. Russia has a superiority over America in this regard. I believe even when Trump was in office here. But I'm also concerned about what France and Germany has done. Maybe if they objected officially to Ukraine being part of NATO when they had an option 8 years ago, saying that Ukraine did have heavy corruption in the country, they didn't have entire control over the territory. But imagine if Ukraine was part of NATO, this wouldn't have happened. Number two, again, what President Putin is saying regarding the nuclear option is just to, I would say, make sure American forces or the NATO forces doesn't put boots on the ground. Or I think the one fear was that if America were to enforce a no-fly zone, that would have put American military war jets direct confrontation with Russian jets. So I would say that was the reason, but I'm not sure the world. I think one thing which, even though a bit too late, President Biden was able to do is to get the world to unite under one umbrella against Russia, pro-Ukraine. So I would say the economic sanctions will now be tougher. I'm expecting, hopefully, there will be an embargoes in oil and gas, and also.
Well, fact of the matter is that Russia's gas has been kept out of the sanctions so far, and a lot of questions have been raised over that. Is it because the West fears that it stands to lose more than Russia? But sanctions apart, Dr. Shalil, I want to ask you this question specifically on the point of NATO membership. Now, you said that had countries like France and Germany not objected to NATO becoming, to Ukraine becoming a member of NATO, this war would not have happened. But Putin says this war actually started 8 years ago, and there are many who say that there has been quote unquote provocation from the West all these years because of Ukraine's NATO membership being on the table, and Putin has now reacted to that provocation. Now, I don't believe for a moment that there can be any justification for this invasion, but what would you say to those who say that, the West pushed Putin too far because he needed to keep NATO away from his doorstep?
There might be a fact to that, but again, even though Ukraine applied for the NATO membership, they were given an enhanced member status, but they were never considered a full member. They were not added to the EU. So, this could have been avoided with a phone call. Maybe American president could have made that, hey, we will not approve of Ukraine's the NATO membership. Maybe that could have kept President Biden off for the time being. Again, I understand what you're saying is that, if you have nuclear weapons placed in Kiev, within minutes of Russian capital, that is a threat to the Russian security. So that but again, is that a justification? Because, there's no NATO membership approved yet. There is no nuclear weapons moved to Ukraine yet. So is that the rationale to invade a country and to change a regime and now killing innocent civilians, including Indian students? I'm not sure. So that's where I think Putin is losing the world opinion as opposed to a strategic. I understand.
But the worry is, you're right. Many say that for a long time, Russia had been successful in driving the narrative. Now it has lost the information war. Perhaps the world is more united against Russia today than ever before, that he's probably united, even divided entities like the European Union, for example. Sir, I would want to know what kind of reactions has India's stand at the United Nations evoked in Washington? I know that officially, it's been said that we understand that India has a unique relationship with Russia. But in all honesty, has it raised eyebrows? Is it likely to make the Biden administration in particular uncomfortable, given that India is a Quad partner? And just today, the Quad leaders met virtually.
I agree. Again, I believe the India stance does put us in a little bit of flex, but it also shows how incapable the United Nations is in having anything action item. So, we can have all these discussions, we can have resolutions at the Security Council, whether India abstain or not, doesn't matter. Russia can veto that resolution. Even if the majority of all the member states vote for something, what action can the UN do? Send peacekeepers? So ultimately, it shows to us we need to remake the way the UN is structured. Countries like India need to be given a seat at the table with power to make decisions with some enforcement actions. I'm hopefully the Quad might give more assurances, because again, imagine if India were to support America and to vote against Russia, what could have happened with the Chinese and the Russian-Chinese friendship? It will put us in a different perspective.
Okay, I think it depends on who you talk to. There are those who would say we need Russian support against China, so let's not rub the Russians the wrong way. And then there are those who say, you know, if you're dealing with a China, then you better have America on your side. So this is really a very complex debate. But I think the focus really needs to be right now on this war that is raging on in Ukraine as we speak. It's the 8th day. Cities around Ukraine continue to get pummeled by Russian forces, and people are dying every day. Will these peace talks that are being held today, the second round, will these peace talks yield any results? What is Putin's end game? How far is he willing to go? Can we expect peace to return to Ukraine anytime soon? Those are very big questions, but no answers forthcoming at the moment. I guess we'll just have to wait and watch the situation very, very closely. On that note, Ambassador Vishnu Prakash, Sergey Utkin, and Dr. Joseph Chalil, thank you so much to all three of you for joining us on the show, and thanks to the viewers for watching.